Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanai, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
And when Yeshua had finished all these discourses, he said to his Talmudim,
You know not that after 2 days is the Pesach, and the human one will be delivered up.
then were assembled the Kohanim and the great ones of the people to the court of the chief Kohen, who was called Caiaphas. And they held counsel how they might secure Yeshua and slay him. And they said,
Let it not be on a feast day,
lest there be a tumult among the people.
and Yeshua was in one day Anya in the house of Shimon the leper. There drew near to him a woman, having in her hand a flask of precious balsam. She poured upon his head as he reclined. But same saw, and they were vexed, and said,
To what purpose is this waste?
For this oil could have been sold for much and given to the poor.
But Yeshua knew, and said to them,
Why grieve you this woman?
Good work has she wrought upon me. For the poor will be with you in all time. But I will not be with you in all time. This woman whose blood is also in my body, as unto my funeral is done. Amen. I say unto you, whosoever this my truth shall be proclaimed in all the world, so this that she has done will be told for her memorial.
Then went one from the 12, and it was he, named Yehuda from Skriot, and went unto the chief Kohanim and said to them,
What will you give me? And I will deliver him unto you.
and they allotted to him 30 pieces of silver. And from that time, he sought opportunity to betray him.
And in the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the Talmudim came near to Yeshua, saying, Where shall we prepare
For you to eat Pesach.
And Yeshua said,
Go you into the city to such a one and say to him, the teacher has said, my time is at hand. And with you I am to keep the Pesach, with my Talmudim.
and the Talmudim did as Yeshua commanded and prepared the Pesach. And when it was evening, he reclined with them. And as they did eat, he said,
Amen. I say unto you that one from you will betray me.
and they were very sad, and began to say to him one by one,
Am I he, Rabbi?
Am I he, Rabbi?
Am I he? Rabbi.
but he said,
One who dips his hand with me in the dish, that same one will also betray me. But woe to that man by whom the human one shall be betrayed. Better had it been for that man had he not been born.
Then Yehuda, who betrayed him, answered and said,
Rabbi, am I this one?
And he said to him,
You have said.
and while they were eating, Yeshua took the bread and blessed. Said,
Take you and eat of this, which is my body. This is my body. This is my body.
This is my body.
This is my body. This is my body.
This is my body. This is my body.
and he took the cup and blessed.
Drink of this, all of you, For this is my blood. This is my blood.
This is my blood.
It is of the covenant.
This is my
Shed for the multitudes, for the atonement of sins.
This is my blood.
Blood. I say unto you,
This is my blood.
hereafter I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vine, until that day
This is my blood.
when I shall drink it with you anew in my Father's kingdom.
This is my blood.
Shalom.
This is my blood.
Shalom.
For it is written, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. But after I am risen, I will go into Galilee before you.
Then answered Petrus and said to him,
Though every man shall desert you, I never will desert you.
and
Yeshua said to him,
Amen. I say unto you that in this night, before the cock shall crow, 3 times will you deny me.
Petrus said to him,
Even if I am to die with you, I will not deny you.
and so likewise said all the Talmudim.
We
will not deny
will not deny you.
Then came Yeshua with them unto the place whose name was Gay Shemini, and said to his Talmudim,
Await you here, while I go yon to pray.
and he took with him Petrus and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be grieved and downcast. And then he said unto Petrus,
My throat is afflicted unto death. Await you here, and watch with me.
and he removed a little and fell upon his face and prayed, saying,
For you all things are possible. Allow this cup to pass from me, but let it not be done as I will, but as thou wilt.
and he came unto his Talmudim and found them sleeping, and said unto Petrus,
Could you not, for a single hour, watch with me? Awake, that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is watchful, but the flesh is lacking.
He went away again the second time and prayed and said,
Oh, Father, if this cup not pass from me, but I need must drink it, be it as thou wilt.
and he came again and found them sleeping, for their eyes had become heavy. And he went away again and prayed the 3rd time and said the same words. Then came he to his Talmudim and said to them,
You have slept now, taken your rest. Lo, hour comes wherein the human one will be delivered into the hands of sinners. Arise, and let us go. He draws near who betrays me.
While he was still speaking, behold, Yehuda, one of the 12, came, and a great multitude with him, with swords and spears, from the chief Kohanim and the elders of the people.
Now, Yehuda, who betrayed him, had given to them a sign and said,
Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Secure you him.
and forthwith he approached Yeshua and said,
Shalom, Rabbi.
and kissed him. But he, Yeshua, said to him,
Beloved, wherefore have you come?
Then they came near and laid hands on Yeshua and seized him. And behold, one of them, which was with Yeshua, put forth his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the chief Kohen and took off his ear.
Return thy sword to his place. For every one of them who takes up the sword shall perish by it. Think you that I cannot request from my Father that he shall send on my behalf more than 12 legions of angels? But how then will the scriptures be fulfilled, which has written that in this way it must be done?
Yeshua said to the multitudes,
As against robbers with swords and spears, you come to secure me? Every day in temple I sat beside you and taught you, and you seized me not. But this has come to pass so that the words of the prophet will be fulfilled.
Then all the Talmudim forsook him and fled.
So they seized Yeshua and led him to Caiaphas, chief Kohen. The scribes and the elders were gathered together. And Petrus followed him far off and entered into the house and sat with the menials, that he might see the end. Now, the chief Kohanim and the whole council sought against Yeshua witnesses to deliver him up to death. But
found none. And many witnesses of falsehood came. But last, two came near and said,
He said,
I can tear down the temple now.
And in 3 days,
rebuild it.
Then the chief Kohen arose and said to him,
Answer thou nothing at all concerning these witnesses against you.
but Yeshua answered nothing, but was silent. And the chief Kohen said to him,
I adjure you by the living Elohim that you declare whether you are Moshiach, the son of Elohim.
and Yeshua answered and said,
You have said, therefore I say unto you, henceforth ye will come, the human one, to sit at the right hand of the power, coming on the water carriers of heaven.
Then the chief Kohen rent his garments, saying,
He has blasphemed. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard this blasphemy. What will you?
And they answered and said,
Let him be killed. Let him be killed.
let him be killed.
Then they did spit in his face and smote him with the fist. And others put their hands upon his face, saying,
Prophesy.
Who is he that assails?
Who is he that assails you?
Now Petrus sat without in the court, and there approached him a maidservant, saying,
He too was there with Yeshua the Nazarene.
but he denied in the sight of all, and said,
You know not what you say.
And when he had gone out to the door, another saw him and said to them that were there,
He also was with Yeshua the Nazarene.
And again he denied with oaths and said,
I know not that man.
But after a while, they that stood there drew near and said to Petrus,
In truth,
You're one of them.
for thy tongue
Reveals thee.
Then began he to curse and to swear.
I know not that man.
And in that hour, the cock crowed, and Petrus remembered the words of Yeshua, who had said to him,
Before the cock crows.
Before the cock shall crow
3 times.
3 times will
Will
you have denied me.
and he went without and wept bitterly.
And it came to pass in the morning that all the chief Kohanim and elders of the people were in a conclave together concerning Yeshua, in order to condemn him to death. And they bound him and led him away, and delivered him to Pilatus, the governor. Then Yehuda, who had betrayed him, when he saw that Yeshua was condemned to death, he repented and brought again the 30 pieces of silver which had been given him, and gave them to the chief Kohanim and elders, saying,
I have sinned. I have betrayed innocent blood.
But they said,
What is that to us? You see to it.
and he cast down the silver into the temple, and with a rope hung himself from a tree. Chief Kohanim took up the pieces of silver and said,
It is not lawful to cast it into the place of offering. For it is the price of blood.
And they took counsel, and bought with it the field of the potter, for the burial place of strangers. Wherefore the field has been called Tent of Blood to this day. Then was fulfilled that which had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. And I say unto them, if it be good in your eyes, make out my wages, and if not, forbear. And they weigh out my hire, 30 silverlings. And the Lord saith unto me, cast it unto the potter. This is that man who forms clay.
Forms clay.
Now, Yeshua was standing before the governor. And the governor questioned him, saying,
Are you king of the Judeans?
And Yeshua answered him,
You have said.
And while the chief Kohanim and elders slandered him, he answered them nothing. Then said Pilatus to him,
Hear you not the testimony they witness against you?
But he answered him nothing. No, not a single word. And upon this, the governor marveled greatly.
Now, at every feast day, it was the custom for the governor to release one of the bound unto the people, whomsoever they would. But there was then bound with the rebels one prisoner, who was called who had fought and killed during the uprising. Therefore, when they were assembled, Pilatus said unto them,
Whom wish you that I deliver unto you? Barabbas? Or Yeshua, who is called Mashiach?
for Pilatus knew that from malice they had delivered him up. And when he had sat down on his judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying,
Let there be no matter between you and the righteous one, for I have suffered a vision this day on his behalf.
But the chief Kohanim and elders persuaded the multitude that he should release to them Barabbas and destroy Yeshua. And the governor answered and said to them,
Which of the two wish you that I release unto you?
and they said,
Barabbas.
Barabbas.
and Pilatus said unto them,
And to Yeshua, who is called the Mashiach, what shall I do with him?
and they all answered and said,
Let him be killed.
Let him be killed.
Let him be killed.
Pilatus said to them,
Why? What evil has he done?
but they clamored the more and cried,
Let him be killed.
Let him be killed. Let him be killed.
Let him be killed.
Then
Let him
Pilatus,
be killed.
when he saw nothing availed,
Killed.
but that the tumult became greater,
Let him
took
be
waters and washed his hands before the assembly,
Let him be killed.
and said,
Let him be killed. Let him be killed.
I am innocent of the blood of this righteous one.
Let him be killed.
Let him be killed.
then released
See you to it.
Let him be killed.
then released to them Barabbas.
But delivered Yeshua to them to be scourged with whips. And hung upon the beam. And then the soldiers of the governor took Yeshua and delivered him to them in the judgment hall and gathered to him the whole crowd. And they stripped him and invested him in a cloak of crimson and encircled his head with thorns for a crown. Placed a reed in his right hand and bowed their knees before him and mocked him, saying,
Shalom Aleichem, King of the Judaism.
and they did spit upon him, and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after that they had derided him. They stripped him of his cloak and clothed him in his own garments and led him away to be hung upon a cross. When they had gone forth, they found a man of Paranoia, Shimon by name, compelled him to carry his crossbeam. And when they had come to the place which is termed Golgotha,
And when they had crucified him, lots to fulfill that which was spoken by the mouth of the prophet, who said, they parted my garments amongst them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And they sat down and watched him there, and they set his sentence above his head, and thus it was written,
Yeshua Nazrati, King of the Judeans.
Then were impaled and hung beside him 2 rebels, one on his right hand and one on his left hand, and all they that passed by were reviling him and nodding their heads, saying, you that lay waste the temple of Elohim,
And in 3 days rebuild it.
deliver yourself if you be the Son of Elohim. Come down
From the cross tree.
And likewise the chief Kohanim reviled him with the scribes and elders, saying,
He saved others, but himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now descend from this cross, that we may see and believe in him. He trusted in Noah, let him deliver him now, if he delight in him, for he said, I am the bread, the Lord.
and so likewise the thieves which were hung beside him reproached him. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness upon all the land until the 9th hour, and at the 9th hour Yeshua cried with a loud voice and said, And certain of them that stood by, when they heard and said, he calls for Eliyahu. And forthwith ran one from them, and took the sponge, and filled it with vinegar, and set it upon a reed, and gave him to drink. But the rest said, let it be, and let us see
Whether
whether
Eliyahu will come to deliver him.
and yielded up his spirit.
Skada Shaniraba Barno Livrachute Yaglit Nakse Khairkhon Yomkhon Yachay Bahor Beis Israel Arlo Isman Khori Hindu Amen Yeshme Dolam
At once, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, from above to beneath, and the earth did quake, and the rocks were riven, and the house of the buried was opened. And many of those asleep in the dust of the land did arise, and came forth from their graves, afterward lived, entered into the holy city, and were revealed to many. And the centurions, which were with Yeshua, to guard him, when they saw the commotion and those things which had come to pass, were exceedingly afeared, and said, Truly, this was a son of the gods.
Son of the gods.
Now, many women were there beholding from afar those who had followed Yeshua from Galilee, serving unto him, among whom was Miriam from Audrey, and Miriam Bar Yaakov, and the mother of Yosef, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. And when it was evening, there came a rich man from Haramatayim, whose name was Yosef, and also was a Talmud of Yeshua. And he went unto Pilatus and begged for the body of Yeshua. Then Pilatus commanded the body of Yeshua to be given. And Yosef took the body of Yeshua and he wound it round in a cloth of pure linen and laid it in a new house which was hewn out of the rock. Then they rolled a great stone and heaved it against the door, and went their way. And there, seated against the house of burial, Miriam from Magdala, and the other Miriam,
Shive